For the first time in a couple of weeks, Braves pitching got roughed up as the Brewers' lethal lineup erupted for 16 hits and 9 runs, evening the series at a game apiece. Tonight, looking to regain their Turner Field dominance, the Bravos turn to All-Star ace Tim Hudson to quiet the Brewers' bats. The Brewers and the Braves, Game 3, right now on Sports South. Well, after a rainy start on this Saturday night special here in Atlanta, it's turned out to be a terrific evening for baseball. And we have Game 3 of our 4-game series between the Milwaukee Brewers and the first place Atlanta Braves. And all year long, Braves baseball on Sports South is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff, and the low price. And good evening, everybody, with my partner, Joe Simpson. Chip Carey, good to be back with you here at Turner Field, where we have our first game after the All-Star break for you here on Fox. And who better to take to the mound than Tim Hudson, one of the Braves All-Stars, off to a great start this year. He'll be looking for his 10th win tonight, Chip, and he's been pitching lights out, especially here at Turner Field, where he's been almost unbeatable. Tim Hudson on the year, 9-4 with a 2.30 ERA. But at Turner Field, he seems to have something really special going because he has been sharp. He's kept the ball down. He's beaten some good teams. He's beaten some bad teams. Really doesn't matter. His 1.85 ERA here at Turner Field, the 4th lowest in the National League. But his overall work for the year has put him among the best in the National League in terms of rankings with his ERA, his quality starts, and his ground ball percentage at 77%. That is indicative of the way Tim Hudson's been pitching all year long. He's getting the ball to move. He's keeping it down. And when he's getting ground balls, you know he's going to be successful. And ground balls, one big way you've got to try to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. They've hit more home runs than any team in the National League. Let's see if Hudson can keep the ball in the ballpark tonight. And hopefully his offense will give him some help as well. The Braves bats have been struggling a bit in the first 2 games after the break. We'll talk about that as we get you set for the Braves and Brew Crew, Game 3 of the series in Atlanta.
last time out. 10 runs, 9 earned in 3 1/3 innings. He's not a guy that's overpowering, but then again, neither was Randy Wolf last night. He had a dazzling curveball that kept the Braves off balance. This guy, Narveson's got a good curveball, so maybe having seen Wolf last night will help the hitters tonight.
And it is a very different-looking lineup for Bobby Cox for Game 3 of the series, and we'll get to that for you in just a moment. Hudson versus Narveson in Game 3 of the set here at beautiful Turner Field. Back after a break with starting lineups and our first pitch from beautiful Turner Field in just a moment. Lottery by the Home Depot and by Dodge. Back with you in Atlanta with my partner Joe Simpson and our entire crew. Chip Carey with you from the 10 for Game 3 of our set between the Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. Brew Crew won 9-3 yesterday to even the series. Tonight, Tim Hudson tries to put the Braves back into the win column, and he'll take a look at this Mercedes-Benz starting lineup for the visiting Brewers ball club. Ricky Weeks leads it off. Corey Hart is in right field hitting second. Braves killer Ryan Braun bats third. Then it's Prince fielder Casey McGee and Jim Edmonds in the middle of the attack. Jonathan LaCroix behind the plate with Alcides Escobar and Chris Narveson, their pitcher, batting ninth.
And for the Atlanta Braves, Tim Hudson on the mound for his 19th start of the year. 9-4, a 2.3 ERA. But how about these numbers since he's come back from his elbow surgery? 25 starts now, 11-5, 2.6 ERA. He's been outstanding and has pretty much reacclimated himself and reasserted himself as the ace of this staff now with what he's done. 5-2 at home, as we talked about, and just a .219 batting average against him overall. His 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Leadoff men. Last night, their leadoff men were 6 for 9 for the Brewers. They lead the league in hitting with their leadoff men each inning. And Ricky Weeks is one of those guys. In fact, he is the leadoff hitter. Ricky, don't lose that number. He is 0 for 15 against Tim Hudson in his career. Let's hope it's still an 0 for when this game ends.
Like the wink. So Hudson gunning for his 10th win. He'll count on the defense behind him, especially if he's got those ground balls working. Diaz, Cabrera, Infante from left to right. An off night for Jason Hayward. Brooks Conrad in for Chipper Jones. Newly acquired Alex Gonzalez, Martin Prado, and Troy Gloss around the horn. And David Ross back in the harness behind the plate As you see Chipper Jones, talked to Chipper before the game. How does the hamstring feel today?
Well, he wanted to go out on the field and hit. Neither one of the teams were able to do that because of the rain showers that passed through here right about batting practice time. But he said it wasn't bad. Hopefully just a day off. He'll be fine for tomorrow. At the worst, with a day off Monday, he'll be back Tuesday.
Apparently the bullpen gate for the Brewers has been left open, so that's the cause for our delay. And now we're ready to go. So it's Tim Hudson versus Ricky Weeks in Game 3 in Atlanta. Comfortable night, 83 degrees at first pitch. And quickly, 0-2 to the Brewers' leadoff man and second baseman. Weeks with 15 homers has 5 leadoff homers this year. And as we mentioned in our opening comments, one of the things Tim's hopeful of is keeping this Brewer club in the ballpark. They hit a lot of home runs.
And keeping this guy off the base in front of Hart, Braun, and Fielder.
Ground ball to Brooksy at third. Good start for Hudson. And the first leadoff man of the game is retired for Hudson.
Tim's last start came against the Mets in New York right before the All-Star break, and he shut them out for 7 innings. Won the game 4-0. He went 7. Gave up 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And he did pitch against Milwaukee in that series at Miller Park back on May 11th and beat them that night. Got 11 runs to work with, but walked 6 men in 6 innings that night. Only gave up 1 run.
One of the hottest hitters in baseball is next up for Milwaukee, and that's Corey Hart. Boy, has he exploded since we last saw Milwaukee. Another chance at third. Conrad. And Gloss off the bag, protects the baseball, and applies the tag. 2 outs.
Two batters, 2 ground ball outs. Good sign for Tim. And you're right about Corey Hart, Chip. The fact that he only had 5 at bats in that 3-game series was proof that, he wasn't doing anything. He didn't even deserve to be in the lineup at that point.
19 homers and 54 runs batted in for the Brewers after the Braves left Milwaukee.
Amazing.
And he turned that into an all-star appearance. Here's Braun.
This guy is a good fastball hitter.
I don't know about you, but I sure like seeing the Brewers lineup without Braun in it a lot better than with him in it.
Oh, no question. And again, Hart only had 5 at bats. Braun only played in part of the first game in that series because he got hit in the elbow by Tommy Hanson. But he's certainly established himself as one of the better players in the National League and one of the more popular players in the National League, as evidenced by his selection by the fans to be a starter.
14 homers, 56 knocked in for Ryan Braun. And 5 for 11 in his career against Hudson. Toward right. Omar's got a beat on that in foul ground, and Tim breezes through the top of a scoreless first.
his 4 keys to pitching success tonight. First inning problems. He's among the league leaders in most runs given up in the first inning, and his high fastballs requires a little description. He is a big curveball pitcher. So to make that more effective, to make his curveball effective, he has to get away with some high fastballs. And if it's letter high or so, he doesn't throw hard enough to get away with it.
So Hernandez said that's good enough. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Randy Wolf was awfully good last night. Dave Bush tough in game 1 of the series. Braves now seeing 3 straight Milwaukee starters who have excellent curveballs.
Yeah, and another lefty tomorrow in Manny Parra, so they'll get their fill of that.
Line drive to left, but Braun is there.
Part of the, I think right now, Chip, for the offense, talking about in our opening comments about the struggles of the offense, Martine's gone into a little bit of a cold spell. His last 10 games, he's hit .209. What I like about tonight's lineup is right behind him are a couple of hot hitters. Infante, who had a tremendous road trip right before the break, and Gonzalez, who's hit in 4 straight games. So some guys that could get it going at the top of the order for the Braves tonight.
Strike 1 to Omar. His average at .330 at the start of the play tonight. This is, as you'd expect, a predominant right-hand hitting lineup, and that's one stat that really jumps out at you when you see Narvis in splits. Lefties barely hitting .200 against him. Righties are hitting .335 against him. But so far tonight, the first 2 Braves hitters have been retired in the bottom of this first inning.
It may take a trip and a half through this batting order for them to get a good feel for how he likes to work and how the ball comes out of his hand with his off-speed stuff. But again, his starts on the road, his last 2 starts in particular, have been just downright ugly. He's been getting hit hard.
So here's Alex Gonzalez. Fans who didn't hear you and Ernie talking about his first few moments as a Brave, that's a great story.
Yeah, I walked in the clubhouse as the team had just assembled for a pre-series meeting to talk about the Brewers, and he walked in like 5 minutes before that was about to start and got a standing ovation from all of his teammates. Quite a welcome to the clubhouse.
Two balls, 1 strike. "17 home runs over in the American League." He also knocked in 50 with the Toronto club. And the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Narvison's first work for the Brewers came out of the bullpen. His first 9 appearances were as a reliever before they put him in the rotation.
Did he go? He did not. Alex was able to check his swing and draws a 2-out walk.
There's the high fastball, and he's got to get it up, really up out of the above the hitter's hands to be successful. And Alex may have gotten away with one there.
Yeah, Scott Berry, the first base umpire, kind of raised the right hand as if to signal strike and then spread him wide and said no swing. So that gives Troy Glaus a chance to do some first inning damage. A little rest apparently has done Troy's knees some good. He's got 3 hits in the first 2 games of the set.
He had a rocket last night off Wolf. Just couldn't get it up high enough to get it over the fence. Braves double last night looked a lot like Ryan Braun's homer that had happened just before this. It's just that Troy hit his on such a line that a little topspin couldn't get it up and over the fence.
Towering fly ball. Escobar, the shortstop, in foul ground, makes the play, and that retires the side. Braves get a 2-out walk, leave Alex Gonzalez stranded in a scoreless first inning. $1 a seat, and you get a ball signed by All-Star Game MVP Brian McCann. Start the second half of the season off right. Call 404-577-9100 now and get a Brian McCann signed baseball. Braves ticket sales reps are standing by. There's the MVP, and here is Prince Fielder.
Good for Brian to get a day off, too, you know. He's just worn out from all the travel to the West Coast and back, and playing the first 2 games back here in Atlanta.
And don't forget, too, before the break, I think Brian caught 16, 17 games in a row with David Ross having that sore hand.
Right.
Working in reserve. And Fielder rolls right side, and we'll get another swing at 2-2. Prince Fielder right now, baseball's Iron Man, has the longest consecutive game streak working among active players. 277 in a row.
His name's being thrown around a little bit here prior to the trading deadline.
Liner, foul. Nice play, yeah.
Tough hop. No trouble.
That's the kind of play you got to put your number on the ball if you're going to give it to that pretty girl in the front row, right?
Right.
Come on. Into center. And Melky is there for the first out.
Prince Fielder will be a free agent at the end of the 2011 season. And even though he was a long way from free agency last year, his name was thrown out there some. Didn't happen. And today I heard that the Tampa Bay Rays are looking to improve their lineup some, even though they've got Carlos Pena at first base, that they might be a team that would come after him if the Brewers are in a trading mood.
Here's Casey McGee. McGee at 278 with 13 home runs, 54 driven in, and he's hitting almost 500 against the Braves this year. And now a 1-1 count.
Another Cubs cast-off. And this guy can hit.
He was blocked by Aramis Ramirez at third base. And his bat shattered. And Alex with a running catch for the second out.
Just because Tim Hudson's a sinker ball pitcher doesn't mean that he can't get in your kitchen once in a while. This one, a two-seamer, a fastball that rode right in on his hands, and he can't get the barrel of the bat around. He's trying to fight it off, and Tim split that one right down the length of the barrel.
Five up, 5 down for Hudson as he'll face Jim Edmonds. Edmonds hitting 273. Tim will have another 1, 2, 3 innings. 6 up, 6 down. A lot of ground ball outs as well. Still no score. Overhead here in Atlanta, and no score as the Braves come up for their second turn against Chris Narveson. And our broadcast on Sports South presented in beautiful high definition by H. Gregg. Matt Diaz, Melky Cabrera, and David Ross are coming up. And a chance for Alcides Escobar, and he makes a good play. 1 out.
He's a slick fielder, isn't he? Rangy kid that covers a lot of ground. And the reason they were willing to move J.J. Hardy somewhere to make room for him, because he's such a good defensive player.
So Narveson gets a ground ball out to start the second. Remember, Chris has had first inning run scoring troubles, but none tonight. Let's see if the second inning is beneficial for the Braves. As Melky looks at ball 1.
Braves have had some luck at home against lefties, but overall for the year they have a losing record. They're 14-15.
Anything pop into mind as to why?
Well, it's odd. I mean, you look at some of the guys' averages against lefties. Even Matt Diaz at this stage of the season, his number's not as good as they normally are. And you would think a guy like Omar Infante would just tear up left-handed pitchers. And Infante comes into the game hitting only .262 against lefties. So those things are kind of odd and hard to figure.
I pop into shallow right. 2 outs. Braves as a club, as you saw, hitting below .250 against lefties, averaging a little more than 3 runs a game against lefties. And striking out about 1 every 4 at bats. So that's something to keep an eye on here in the second half. The Braves can tune it up against the Southpaws. You know they'll see a lot of them with the Johan Santanas and Cole Hamels, Jamie Moyers of the world.
The Phillies got a gift today, didn't they? Speaking of the Cubs had a 1-0 lead in the 9th, 2 out. And how many did the Phillies put on the board? 4. Beat the Cubs 4-1.
Cubs have the game won. If they could handle a throw from the outfield, that would have been the 3rd out at the plate. And unfortunately for the Braves, the Phillies won that game and pulled to within 5 of the Braves. Swinging bunt. And LaCroix makes a good play to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down in the second for Atlanta. Universe by Honda, by McDonald's, and by Georgia Power. 3rd inning already in Atlanta, and pitching's been dominant so far. 6 up, 6 down for Tim Hudson as he continues his all-star season this evening. And he'll start with the Brewers catcher Jonathan LaCroix out of Louisiana Lafayette. Pretty good numbers for a guy that began the year at AA. He's played at 3 levels. And with Greg Zahn hurt, getting an extended look.
Yeah, Milwaukee's AA team is down here in Braves country, as it's been referred to this summer. Huntsville, Alabama. They lost Greg Zahn right after the Braves saw Milwaukee. Zahn had some arm trouble and is out for the year.
Another broken bat.
Now take a look at this pitch. This is Tim, looks like a slider. Throws it at the middle of the plate. Now it looks like a strike when it's thrown at the middle of the plate, but then it just darts right at the target of David Ross, which is a little bit off the plate, But because it's going at the middle to start, the hitter's thinking strike, commits, then all of a sudden it's right off the end of the bat, breaks his bat, ground ball, easy out. But it's got to look like a strike to get the hitter to commit to it.
And the way Tim's pitching tonight, he won't have to chop any firewood for the winter, will he?
No.
Here's Alcides Escobar. Still classified as a rookie for the Brewers. And hitting .244 for the year. Similar pitch to LaCroix.
Yeah. Yep. Very consistent. Again to the middle of the plate and breaking off. It's a ball, but it doesn't start off looking like a ball.
And there's the first base hit of the game, a 2-2 single off the bat of Alcides Escobar.
This was a pitch that looked like he was trying to do to Escobar what he did to McGee, and that's break his bat. Two-seamer. Oh, the target was down and away. So no. Oh, nice flare there by Tim with the back foot, though. That was pretty acrobatic. That was just a mistake on his location, and the hitter got the best of it.
Now you have a good hitting pitcher in Chris Narveson. Braves think Ken Mako will bunt. Let's see if that's the case.
This guy's a good hitter. Got to be careful if you're charging in from third, as the case with Conrad. Narveson, 7 hits for the year, a .292 average. Fisher with the signs. Bunt. Just about every time they go to the belt, that's bunt.
Belt bunt?
Belt bunt.
Yeah.
Let's see if he does it again. Just keep an eye on Brad. Looking in. It may not be on now. Earlobe may have taken it off.
I guess not. 0-2.
He hit the belt first, so see. See, you have to have different signs sometimes for the pitchers to make it simple. Belt, bunt, leg steal.
I think Tommy Glavine's going to have something to say about that.
Oh, he knows. He'd be the first to tell you.
We'll find out if that's the case. Tommy will be with us here tomorrow for the series wrap-up. Maybe they shouldn't have put the bunt on because Narveson could not advance Escobar. 2 outs. That's a strikeout for Tim, his first of the night.
Fundamentals. Tried to reach out and bunt that ball and had a horrible balance. He didn't square around. I just don't understand why Major League players are unwilling to actually square around and face the pitcher when they're trying to bunt. Go look at some old Greg Maddux bunting video.
Ricky Weeks, the batter, with a man aboard in the Brewers' third. Well, for years, people have said, some have said in our game, that bunting is one of the lost arts in our sport.
Well, it's not cool. You know, and I think this day and age, there's got to be a way to bunt and be cool. And the way to do that is not to square around, just make it look like you have to do very little to get it down.
Runner goes, pitch out. Ross's throw is high. The tag, though, in time.
Beautiful.
Escobar thrown out. That ends the Brewers' third. Still a scoreless game. Brooks has had a run of good luck against Brewer pitching this year.
A couple of big homers in that series up in Milwaukee. 2 of his 4 for the season.
You know, you and I have talked about all the twists and turns that this year has made for the Braves in 2010. I think we both agree that that sweep of Milwaukee was one of the big keys to what Atlanta's been able to accomplish so far this year.
It just opened the floodgates. Everybody, after the grand slam by Martin in that series, it seemed like everybody relaxed a little bit. Everybody exhaled and went to the plate. They were a little more patient. They seemed to wait for good pitches. They started working the count, wearing out pitchers.
Jim Edmonds, who plays as shallow a center field as anyone in the big leagues, handles an easy chance. And you're right, Braves in that series outscored Milwaukee 28-7. That was right after a stretch where, as we all remember, the Braves just were scratching and begging to score 1 or 2 runs a game.
Yeah, they had 35 hits in those 3 games.
Here's Tim. He's had a good year at the plate. 11 for 41. That's a .268 average.
See how Narveson, when he throws across his body, his step to the plate is not to the plate. It's more to the first base line, and especially to right-handed hitters. Even Tim Hudson is just going to try to work the ball down and away, try to create some movement by throwing across his body a little bit with his 2-seamer. Because, again, he's just not overpowering. His fastball is 86, 88. Curveball and a good one.
That's his first strikeout in the ball game. And again, tonight only, you can buy a pair of prorated season tickets starting at $6 a seat. You get a Brian McCann autographed baseball. Start the second half of the year off right. 404-577-9100 is the number to call to get a Brian McCann signed baseball. Danette Thornton from Stockbridge, Georgia, just got a Brian McCann baseball. And here is the man of whom Joe spoke a moment ago, Martin Prado, that big grand slam in Milwaukee in May. And he too hasn't stopped hitting since.
Except for the last 10 or 11 games. I think perhaps right before the break he welcomed a little bit of rest. What he got in the break. He's just 9 for his last 45.
And rolls out to short to retire the side. The scoreless duel continues. And that is the subject of our quote of the day today, Joe. It's brought to us by Geico.
Well, he's talking about the 5'7" Tim Collins. He's a little like Tim Lincecum with his unusual delivery. His stuff is filthy, like a little Billy Wagner. Wouldn't surprise me if he reaches the big leagues later this year. That coming from the former GM, as you said, of the Blue Jays. And he pitched last night for Mississippi.
And I would say he made a very positive impression, right?
2 innings, 5 strikeouts. I'd say so. There are his numbers this year at Double-A. Pasternak, he was in A-ball, and he was assigned to Double-A.
Off the glove of Alex Gonzalez and into center field. That'll be ruled a hit for Ricky Weeks. So that was one of your keys. Keep the leadoff man off base, and that's the first time a leadoff man is reached tonight.
And he's got good speed, but more importantly, he sets up the part of their batting order that's the most dangerous.
And it starts with 22 home run man Corey Hart. Hart, I guess, another guy that you might hear some whispers about at the trade deadline, which is only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, those whispers would have been yells and screams right now if he wasn't swinging the bat like he is. But the Brewers suddenly not quite as anxious to move him unless they get their socks knocked off.
Corey Hart is the subject of our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
Yeah, those are major league ranks since May 15th. And he is second only to Josh Hamilton of the Rangers in slugging percentage. Josh Hamilton doing all right, too.
And so are his Rangers. A lot of great stories all around Major League Baseball. The Braves certainly atop that list with a 5-game division lead. And Hart drops a single into center, and the Brewers have big trouble afoot. 2 on and nobody out. And they're getting better swings in the second time around against Tim Hudson.
Let's check out the location of this one. Yeah, it was up. It was headed in the direction of David Ross, but the fact that it was up gave Hart room enough to reach it, and he's a big guy, 6'6".
Well, here's a spot where Tim wants a ground ball at somebody, and the most likely double play candidate is the man in the batter's box. Ryan Braun leads their team. He's hit to 10 of them.
Really? But probably because he hits the ball so darn hard. Because of all those ground balls that Tim gets, he has been at or near the lead in the National League all year long and getting double plays turned behind him.
Ball one. Weeks at second, Hart at first.
It's interesting for Tim. He hasn't given up a run all year long in the third inning. In his first 19 starts, no runs allowed in the third inning. But the fourth inning is one of his worst. The seventh and the fourth. Seventh you kind of understand because he might be near the end of his energy level at the end of a ball game. But the fourth inning he's given up 7 runs, and that's tied for the highest number.
And he's missed with 3 straight against Ryan Braun. 2 on, none out.
This is what happens when you get a guy like Braun in an RBI situation against a ground ball pitcher. If he's over aggressive, then he plays right into Tim's hands. But this guy's an all-star, and he's crushing the ball on the road. But in this situation, he's trying to make Tim get the ball up so he doesn't hit a ground ball.
With all of his power and all of his run-producing total, Braun doesn't strike out a ton. 350 at bats or so, only 62 strikeouts.
So this is going to take every bit of pitching savvy that Tim Hudson has right here. 3-1.
And he lost him inside to load the bases for Prince Fielder. And they're loaded with nobody out. Here's a surprising stat as well. You think about the burly body of Prince Fielder. 333 at bats. He's hitting only 5 double plays.
Well, and that's odd when you think about it because of his body type. But he has such a huge uppercut. He just doesn't hit the ball on the ground enough.
He's hit 20 homers. And he grounds to short. Alex to first, double play, a run scores. Braves will gladly take that exchange. 1-0 Milwaukee. Hart to third, 6-3 the scoring on the double play.
You're right, the Braves will gladly trade 2 outs for a run from Fielder. And that pitch was up, but he still topped it. So a rarity from Fielder on that one. Fortune for Hudson.
But still some work to do. You've got McGee up. And Casey has knocked in 54 men. He lined to short on a broken bat in the second.
This is the 3rd game of this series, and it's been driving me crazy trying to figure out who he reminds me of. And I think I finally got it. Kevin Youkilis.
Yeah, I see that.
Not quite the exaggerated split grip holding the bat, but the deep knee bend.
Swinging bunt. Ross pounces, fires, and you use the term pitching savvy. Excellent call. Tim used it there. A double play and a ground out to the catcher after the base. Come up with their 2, 3, and 4 hitters against Chris Narveson. Popped up on the first pitch, right behind the plate. LaCroix puts the squeeze on that, and 8 straight have been retired. Tonight only buy a pair of prorated season tickets starting at $6 a seat. You'll get a ball signed by All-Star Game MVP Brian McCann. Call 404-577-9100, and Braves ticket sales reps are standing by. Congrats to Ron Carter of Rome, Georgia. He, too, has bought a pair of prorated season tickets and has a Brian McCann autographed ball. Here's Alex. He walked and is the only Braves base runner in this game. That caught the corner. Ball and 2 strikes.
Using all his pitches, and he's hitting some good spots.
In the air, right center. Edmonds on the run. Can't get it. Alex thinking 2. Puts on the brakes. That's the first Braves hit of the game.
Usually with a guy like Jim Edmonds, who's still playing a very good center field after actually not playing at all last year, you say, you know what, a couple years ago he probably had that. You could have said, 15 years ago he could have had that. I mean, he's been playing out there for so long, and he has lost a step, but you're so used to him making that catch that it's odd to see one drop.
Troy Gloss takes a called strike. Yeah, Edmonds made their club as a non-roster player this spring. Another pop fly. Fielder near the Braves dugout. 2 outs.
Well, I figure Troy's due to hit one over the 400-foot sign. Next time up, he's fouled out down the third base line and now the first. Due to go dead central next time.
Matt Diaz rolled out to the shortstop in his first at bat. One ball, no strikes. One more with Milwaukee here tomorrow afternoon. Then the Padres are in town Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday. And a long road trip wraps up the month of July. Yanked foul, that'll scatter the Brewers.
This Brewers team had won 3 in a row going into the break. That was against the Pirates. They've won 4 of their last 5 after the win last night. But they'd lost 5 in a row before the Pirates series, and 4 of those were to the Giants. Now, when you've got to play the Giants 4 straight games, you're in big trouble. Ask the Mets. They've been shut out 2 nights in a row, and tonight they got to face Matt Cain. So it's no disgrace that you have trouble against the Giants if you're in a long series because of their great rotation. And if the Giants do make the postseason, they're going to be mighty tough in a short series.
Yeah, with Zito, with Cain, with Lincecum. Bumgarner's in rotation for him now. You mentioned Buster Posey before the ball game too. Good-looking young player for San Francisco.
Yeah, having just played the Giants, Brewers saw all of the Giants they wanted, obviously, and getting swept, but they were really raving about Posey, which ultimately led to them trading Molina to the Rangers. They're so confident that Posey can handle their staff. That's a huge responsibility.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Diaz. A good 2-strike hitter, as you know. Launches that one to left. Braun back at the wall. Leaping try. He can't get it. I told you he could hit with 2 strikes.
Yep. He hit this like a tennis player, a right-handed tennis player with a huge forehand with some top spin. Down and in, but he had to get the top hand down there to get the bat through. And he hooked it right over the top of the fence. Might have even hit the top of the fence.
So the Braves finally break through against Narveson, whose trend of giving up homers to right-hand hitters continues. And just like that, the Braves are in front 2-1. Him being hurt might be a big reason why the Braves have had trouble against lefties.
Yep. Good point. When you sit out as long as Matt had to sit out to let his thumb and hand heal, you know, you really begin to wonder, how long is it going to take me to get back in the swing of things? And that road trip to Philadelphia and New York helped give him his confidence. It might get him on a tear.
Melky Cabrera shot into right center field. That's going to roll to the fence. He might think 3. He's around second. He's chugging for third, and he'll make it without a throw.
The Coors Light Cold Hard Blast on the heels of a Matt Diaz home run. A gapper for Melky Cabrera. And Narveson none too happy about it. He made another mistake. They were playing Melky to pull over in left center a little bit, so a long way to go for Edmonds to go get this one. In fact, it was Corey Hart who had to go track it down. And an easy triple.
Second of the year for Melky Cabrera. Big runner at third with 2 outs now for David Ross. And a good stop by LaCroix saved a run. Second time through the order, much better for the Braves against Narveson.
It's odd to say this when you talk about guys coming off your bench to play or forced into duty like the injury to Chipper, but when you can say that you have an all-star bench, thanks to Omar Infante and what he's done, I mean, that's a very good description for this club.
Yeah, when you say all-star bench, you mean it literally tonight, too. You've got McCann and Hayward in reserve. Chipper Jones might be able to pinch hit if needed. As Ross takes a shot at right, but that will retire the side. Matt Diaz with 2 strikes and 2 outs turns in a Rod Laver special. A forehand winner off the top of the fence. Salute for the fans from Matt Diaz. His 2-run homer in the 4th inning puts the Braves in front. And as we go to the 5th inning, let's check out our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Jim Edmonds, one of 2 outfielders all time to win multiple Gold Gloves in the American and the National Leagues. Who's the other player to do it?
It's not Johnny Damon.
No. I know that's the old standby answer. Carlos Beltran.
That's a good call.
Remember, he was with the Kansas City Royals at the start of his career, now coming back and playing for the Mets. Edmonds ahead, 2 balls, no strikes. He rolled out to second his first time. Key inning in this game might be for Atlanta defensively. Certainly would be the 4th. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Tim Hudson allows only 1 run.
Well, and they covered that up for him with the 2-run homer. Now he can go right back after him. Try to have a quick inning. and put Narveson behind the 8 ball a little bit here after cruising for the first 3 innings.
Struck him out looking. And the Brewers tonight 1 for 5 in getting the leadoff man on.
Box track showing you that was a good call by Angel Hernandez behind the plate. Right on that outside corner.
Here's Jonathan LaCroix. And ball 1. And the Brewers' young catcher with a single between short and third. And the Brewers now have 4 hits in tonight's game. And it's time now for a money and energy-saving bright idea from Georgia Power. Change the air filters in your heating and cooling system regularly. Go to GeorgiaPower.com for more energy-saving tips. Georgia Power, a Southern company.
I'm going to have to do that tomorrow after the game. Make a trip, get some new filters to put in.
Yeah. Make sure you check to get the right size before you go buy the filters. There's nothing worse than buying the wrong size filters.
Hey, Laser Baker, should I get the Energy Star label on the filters? Okay.
Alcides Escobar singled and was thrown out trying to steal in the Brewers' third. Braves have turned 1 double play tonight. Tim Hudson would love another here. 83 degrees at first pitch. Gray skies overhead. We had a rain shower about 2.5 hours before the ball game started. It's a muggy night. Fly it into center. And Narveson will hit with 2 outs. Narveson tried to bunt and, as you said, didn't look particularly good trying to do that.
Well, let's see how he is at swinging the bat, because the reports were he's legit as a hitter. He was a second-round pick out of high school by St. Louis back in 2000.
Roller right side, and Martin Prado throws out the pitcher. Tim Hudson rolling merrily along, just 57 pitches and a 5th inning lead. Outdoors, by Verizon, by AirTran Airways, by KFC, and by Salt in theaters July 23rd. Chip and Joe back with you in Atlanta. Braves try to add to a one-run fifth-inning lead, and they'll do that with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming up. And it's getting late. Tonight only, you can get a pair of prorated season tickets. They start at only $6 a seat. And if you sign up, you'll get a ball signed by All-Star Game MVP Brian McCann. Tony Esposito from Marietta has signed up for a prorated season ticket package. He called 404-577-9100. You can do that, but it's tonight only.
Tony always had a great slap shot. It was Phil that had the great slap shot. Tony was the goalie. Thanks, Andy. Andy Pollock straightened me out, our producer.
Puts Conrad the batter. Takes a little low. He lined to center his first time up. Well, if you play hockey, whether you're a goalie or not, everybody has a good slap shot.
Good point.
Which is also the title of one of the great sports movies of all time.
It was a lot of fun. Paul Newman was great in it. So were the Henson brothers.
Popped up. Well, he's got a lot of pop-ups in this game. Will it stay in play? LaCroix at the screen. One down.
I'm wondering if it's from the high fastball. We'll be able to see here on this pitch to Brooks if that was the case. Yep. Something a little bit above his hands, and if you try to go up to that high fastball, even if it's not overpowering, and get the bottom half, there's a good chance that's going to happen. But again, that was one of the keys to the start of the game, was how he located that high fastball, because it's essential to make his curveball effective.
Belated birthday greetings to the man in the batter's box. Tim Hudson just turned 35 this week. And he celebrates with a base hit.
#12th hit of the year. Took the pitcher lightly. Shouldn't have done that. Old Tim can hit. Call him that now that he's 35.
That's what I love about you, partner. They're subtle. They're slightly under radar.
But they might knock the wind out of you.
That's exactly right. Here's Prado. Martino for 2. He's averaging .321. Another great thing about this Braves year for guys like Infante and Martin Prado making the All-Star team for the first time. Their lives have changed forever with their great work in the first half. Martin had such a huge role, as you know, in the second half of last season for the Braves. And that's continued all the way through the start of his 2010 season. Now he can forever say he was the best of the best. And the same for Infante, who got a standing ovation from his teammates when he was announced for the All-Star game.
And don't think that this is not wasted on their home country. They're so proud in Venezuela of what these guys have done and how they've been honored here. And how about this? I mean, Martin's been educating me on how many guys from Maracay are in the big leagues, and I thought it was 2 or 3, and it's over 10. And while Alex Gonzalez, the newest of the Braves, isn't from Maracay, he lives 10 minutes from home, from Martin in Maracay now.
And I asked Martin about that before the game. Look, he's played alongside Yunel Escobar for a full year now. How long does it take to get used to a new shortstop? And he said, you know, anybody else, it might be a little bit longer. We play a lot in the wintertime, and we're constantly communicating, and he's seemingly constantly hitting. 2 on, 1 out.
Well, that's good to see there. Just simple single, because while he has gone 9 for his last 45 coming into this at bat, he had hit 4 home runs in his last 6 games. So he's getting some long balls, and that's not really what he's after. He's after base hits and getting on the sack and setting up everybody in the middle of the order.
124 hits for Prado now on the year. And a nice inning setting up for the Braves, trying to extend a 2-1 lead. Here's Infante. Nothing in 2. So much was made of his all-star selection around the country. You think baseball will now have a utility position for fans to vote for on the ballot?
I was talking about that with Brian Anderson, who does play-by-play work for the Brewers, and telling him about how excited the Braves were that Omar made it. And of course, Brian didn't have a dog in that fight. He didn't have any reason to say this, but he said, you know what, I think that's great for baseball. I think it's great that a guy who is a super utility player like Omar, or a setup guy in the bullpen like Arthur Rhodes, that they know that there's a spot for them among the All-Stars too, even though they may not be headliner type players, that they're just as valuable to a lot of teams. And I thought that was a good point that Brian made.
I agree with him. Ground ball to short. Escobar bobbles for a minute, but not long enough to stop an inning-ending double play. 6-4, 3 and out go the Braves, and we've completed 5. Atlanta leads the Brew Crew in Game 3 of the series. It's a 2-1 score. Long Braves baseball on Sports Hop, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff and the low price. Weeks Hart and Braun against Tim Hudson, step to a 2-1 lead. Just 9 hits combined so far, as the Braves try to win the second of the first 3 of this 4-game series. Weeks is 1 for 2 and has scored the only run for Milwaukee tonight. Remember, Milwaukee had the bases loaded, nobody out, and scored just 1 time. That was in the 4th inning.
Again, important to keep this guy off base, any of the leadoff men. And as you said, Chip, he's the reason they got the rally started with that leadoff single back in the fourth.
And that was one of your keys to the game. Keep the leadoff guys off base. Brewers have gotten the leadoff man on just one time in 5 innings tonight.
A win tonight for the Braves will secure at least a split of this series, and they've won 15 of their last 19 series. But while they had a really good run at home, going 16 out of 17, you can't expect them to keep up that kind of pace. They've just gone 5-4 in the last 9 home games, which actually comes as a surprise to me. I hadn't realized that, given the lack of run support there, only 3.3 runs per game over those 9. It's just quieted down just a bit.
Well, the Braves ran into the Detroit Tigers pitching staff. They ran into Strasburg in the Nationals, and then you had the Marlins right before they left town in the break. A fly ball to right. Omar drifting back. Look at that ball carry. But Weeks flies out. Good start here in the 6th.
Good athlete, good ball player. Can play anywhere on the diamond.
Here's Corey Hart. Alex Gonzalez got a friendly hop. And 4 in a row retired by Tim. 2 outs. And Braun the batter. Talking to Buck Martinez about the play of Alex Gonzalez. Buck saw him play for many years in the American League and with Toronto all year this year. One thing about Alex Gonzalez, he said, he'll never get a bad hop. Very solid, fundamental player. He may not have the dazzling skill set that some players have, but a very fundamentally sound major league shortstop.
Well, one thing he's going to have to adjust to is half of his games were played on turf in Toronto.
Right.
The other half on regular grass, but now he's back to full-time grass. But I just remember how smooth he was at short for the Marlins for several years. And maybe more than anything, what sticks in my mind is how good he was around the bag, turning double plays. Because he's got a good arm.
2 balls and a strike. Hey, think about the places he has played and the teams and the organizations for which he has played. This has been a wanted guy for a lot of clubs for a lot of years.
Chipper said that he'd been after the Braves to try to get him for a long time.
Another chance. Deep short. Sets, fires, perfect throw. Hudson restoring order. He's retired 5 in a row. Brewers down in the 6th. And Alex will lead it off.
Like freeze cam. And this took place back in the 3rd inning. Alcides Escobar trying to steal second. Braves pitch out. They saw it coming. They stole their signs. And David Ross with a perfect throw down to second base to nail him. That was the Coors Light freeze cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Yeah, they got to do something besides touching the belt all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if I know their bunt signs, surely the Braves have got everything they do.
Alex Gonzalez starts off the 6th. He's walked. He has singled. He has scored. And now he's going to ground out to first.
That's a big old jersey on number 28. Last night he had a ground ball kind of come up on him, pinned it to his chest, and you just knew it was going to get lost in all that material somewhere. And that one, off the end of the bat from Gonzalez, had a lot of spin on it.
You know, he's not fast, but I think a Prince Fielder is quick.
He's not slow.
Yeah.
And
he handled a spinning ground ball for the first out. You said earlier, Troy's popped to the left side in foul ground. He's popped to the right side in foul ground. He's due to center one up, huh?
Mm-hmm. Straight away and long.
One ball, one strike.
That was the general line. It just needs to be forward.
Yes, I got you. Or as Hawk Harrelson of the White Sox says, right size, wrong shape. It's into center. Edmonds charging and can't get there.
Okay.
With the Nostradamus of baseball, Joe Simpson.
In my head, it was a homer.
Hey, he'll take him any way he can get him. Matt Diaz has homered tonight.
And that's the subject of our Airtran How Far Did It Fly home run for Matt, his second homer of the year. 366 feet, just over the top of the fence in left field. That's our Airtran How Far Did It Fly homer. You had that stuff a minute ago for him. We didn't get it in because he hit a homer. But we were talking about why the Braves have a losing record against left-handed pitchers, and I mentioned that Matt hadn't got untracked yet on lefties. Last year he was second in the majors against lefties to David Wright. His average was .412 against left-handed pitching.
And that's so important for the Braves, especially in divisional play, when you think of, as we mentioned, Johan Santana for the Mets, the Phillies with Hamels and Happ and Moyer in rotation.
Well, there's some pretty rough left-handers, setup men especially, too, in the National League East. I think of Feliciano with the Mets and J.C. Romero with the Phillies, among others. But coming off the bench, he's a valuable guy against those left-handed pitchers.
Fought that ball off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Matty will take 2 or 3 of the craziest, most awkward-looking swings you'll ever see and then hit a rope at somebody.
Laser Baker tells me that David Wright is #1 again this year, hitting lefties at .408.
Wow. There's the rope. It's to right. Hart, though, drifts back and is under it for the second out.
Braves are definitely getting some better swings off Narveson, but we're in the 6th inning, and aside from the back-to-back hitters, the homer by Diaz, the triple by Cabrera, and that pitch was shoulder high. Braves haven't really hit anything real hard off this guy.
Melky might have had the hardest hit ball. That was that triple to the gap in his last at bat. He in the booth will talk all the time about a pitcher making a hitter have a comfortable 0 for 4. Is Narveson that kind of guy?
He appears to be that kind of guy tonight. It's the first time I've seen him pitch too. I don't want to bore anybody or wear him out with this, but the point of his high fastball having to be effective and above the hands is eye level. If he throws that on the same plane from the hitter's eye level as his curveball, then the curveball is hard to detect, harder to detect.
That might have been his best fastball that he's thrown for a strike. That one at 89. That was knee high.
Well, this is by far his best outing since a win against Seattle, and he went 8 innings, a 4-hit shutout ball in that one against the Mariners and struck out 7. That was his last start in June. He went 3-1 in June with a 4.15 ERA. Boy, oh boy. His last 2 starts, 8 1/3 innings, 16 hits, 14 runs coming in.
Liner over third. And this time the ball boy kind of played that off to the side.
I don't blame him.
He made a great play earlier.
Yes, he did. He was trying to save some fans, but he also remembered that dental work that his parents had paid for recently.
And that ball in the dirt strikes out Melky Cabrera and ends the Braves' 6th inning. On we go to the 7th.
On Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South.
Beautiful night in Atlanta. Good score for the Braves, leading 2-1. Prince Fielder starts the 7th. And Tim Hudson misses with ball 1. Boy, has he been economical tonight. He's made just 68 pitches over the first 6 innings of the game.
Took a little off with that one. Nice pitch.
And that one good enough to catch the outside corner. A ball and 2 strikes.
Double play was huge back in the 4th inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. It got their only run in, but sure put the Kibosh on a big inning. Kibosh is a big word in Milwaukee.
Is it?
In Wisconsin, yeah.
Well, I know kielbasa is. What's what kibosh?
Kibosh.
Kibosh.
It's just kind of in keeping with that whole thing.
Line to right center field and well hit.
That's kiboshed.
And that's the first home run Prince Fielder has hit against Braves pitching. And it ties the game 2-2.
Again, one of those that started off nicely toward the target, but you see David Ross set up outside, then he has to go to the backhand, and Prince Fielder, I think, got all of that one.
He literally jumped out of his shoes to hit that ball.
Yeah.
So his 21st homer ties the game. Nobody out for Casey McGee.
I think that's like his 16th solo homer out of 21. Have to look it up.
If that's the case, that's really shocking when you think about all the work that Weeks has done. Hart's been hot last month.
He's got 21 homers now and 42 RBIs.
Amazing. McGee takes a shot at right, but Omar is going to retire him.
17 solo homers.
17 of 21 solo.
Thanks, Dave.
One in, one out.
Chip, is there anything special going on with the Braves ticket-wise?
Well, yeah, just tonight only.
Oh, really?
You can buy a pair of prorated season tickets. They're only $6 a seat, Joe.
When did this start?
Around the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth inning. If you call 404-577-9100, you'll get a Brian McCann autographed baseball. And congratulations to Melody Diamond from Woodstock, Georgia. It's a great deal. $6 a seat. Prorated season tickets. An exciting second half in the offing. And a lot of home games in August and September.
And crazy me, I thought all the Diamonds lived in Roswell.
That's exactly right. 2 balls, no strikes to Jim Edmonds. It was the subject of our AT&T U-verse trivia question. One of 2 guys in baseball with multiple Gold Gloves in each league. Any other guesses besides Carlos Beltran?
I don't know if Ken Griffey Jr. won one with the Reds, but I'm going to have to go with Jr. And who did you say?
I said Beltran.
Beltran's a good call. Frank Robinson, Dave Winfield. Oh, was it Dave?
That is the AT&T U-verse trivia answer. As Jim Edmonds takes a 1-out walk.
Dave Winfield does a nice job with baseball tonight on their broadcasts.
What a great athlete Dave Winfield was. I think
Boy.
Dad told me that Dave Winfield was a first-round draft pick in baseball, basketball, and football.
I didn't know about the football, but it doesn't surprise me.
I think that's the case. As Jonathan LaCroix, the catcher, hits, he has a single in his night's work. He's 1 for 2 in total.
He had a base hit in the first game of the series on a pitch middle of the plate in, bounced one back through the middle. Has a base hit tonight, middle of the plate in. He just seems to be thinking about pull more than anything else. There goes the target outside, hoping to get him to try to pull something away from him or swing and miss, but ground ball would be nice here.
Just missed outside. Tim wants to know where. Apparently Angel Hernandez said outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Angels had a good night to this point.
Same spot, different call. Runner goes as LaCroix fouls it away. And the Braves bullpen now on a muggy night is going to start to work.
Johnny Venters, one of 3 95-mile-an-hour throwing left-handers in the Braves bullpen. 95 plus.
Now with Mike Dunn and Billy Wagner. Tim has been consistent. He's been economical. He's allowed just 2 leadoff men to reach in this game. And he's in a 2-2 tie in the 7th. Lined into center field.
That pitch was out away from him, but it was up. And because it was up, gave him a chance to adjust to it. And they're at first and second. Well, belt high. And while Roger McDowell goes out to talk to Tim, I'll tell you that Dave Baker looked it up on Dave Winfield. He was a first-round pick of the Padres, as we know, first-round pick of the Atlanta Hawks, and was drafted in the NFL in the 17th round by the Vikings. So there you go.
Yeah, he wasn't 3 first round, but he was drafted by 3 professional sports teams.
How about that?
Pretty good. Yeah, just think how basketball history might have changed in Atlanta had Dave Winfield played for the Hawks. That might have been back in the Lou Hudson days and Pete Maravich.
Yeah. Big Todd Coffey loosening up for the Brewers in their pen too, and he's pitched in each of the first 2 games of this series.
Here's Escobar, 2 on, 1 out.
Well, here's that 7th inning. Talked about the 4th inning being a problem for Tim. The 7th inning is too. He's given up a run on the homer. He's hoping not to give up any more.
That ball buzzing in on the hands of the young Brewers shortstop.
For a guy who's a ground ball pitcher like Tim, and it's pretty consistent for just about all of them. When they get to a certain point where they start getting a little tired, first thing that goes is the sink. They start elevating pitches and leaving them up.
As we said at the start of the broadcast, 1 through 5 in this Brewer lineup has a lot of thunder. The Brewers lead the National League in homers hit. They have 1 tonight, and it's tied the game at 2. He was thinking homer and popped it into center. Melky lost it for a moment, but recovers for the 2nd out.
I don't know if he was trying to fake out Edmonds or not, but I think that was legit. I think he did lose it in the twilight.
And the night is done for Narveson. Joe Inglet is going to bat here in the 7th inning. So 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs for Narveson. He struck out a couple of men. And the young left-hander walked just 1. And A nice rebound for him after, as you said, 2 real bad starts in a row.
Horrible starts, and he kept his team in it tonight. Inglet's been the guy that Ken Maka goes to most often to pinch hit. He's done a great job for him. 12 pinch hits already on the year, 39 at bats.
And a lofty .328 batting average. Those are his pinch hit numbers.
Pinch hits lead the majors.
Snap throw back to second. Edmonds wandered a little too far and was just able to get back in time.
And David Ross kind of slaps his leg, aggravated that he didn't make a better throw. If he makes this throw on the fly to Gonzalez, they might get him. But it was kind of an in-between hop. Alex did a good job just to grab it. Inglet was actually a teammate last year in Toronto with Gonzalez. Not
3
so.
balls, no strikes.
Not so, because this was Alex's first year in Toronto.
First and second, 2 outs. And Inglet taking all the way. We'll see a 3-1 pitch. Bases loaded again, this time with 2 outs in the 7th inning. And Ricky Weeks.
That looked like a decent pitch, but England gave up on it right away, and no argument, or didn't appear to be any argument from David Ross. Fast Fox track and tell us, and it was up.
So trouble brewing literally for Milwaukee. Bases loaded. 2 outs, 2-2 game, and Weeks with 54 RBIs in the batter's box. He picked up his first career hit against Hudson in the 4th inning.
Again, yeah, so important there to know that you've had some success against a guy, nowhere to go to get out. So he's just 1 for 18 against Tim Hudson. And Tim got ahead of him quickly, and that's important.
And isn't it funny, your Ford key tonight about the leadoff men? The 2 innings in which Milwaukee had a leadoff man reach are the 2 innings in which they've scored tonight.
All right, he didn't fish. Got ahead of him, and then he tried to get him to chase something off the plate, make him reach. He didn't. Now you got to try something different.
Heaviest workload of any inning for Hudson tonight in this 7th.
Got a split finger. Oh, got away with one there. Woo! Mercy. All right, caught a break. Guy struck out over 100 times on the year, 102. Maybe now that he's got to guard the plate, he'll go fishing. fouled off a really good pitch. Pitcher's pitch. Stands with his feet real close together. Good balance.
This will be an interesting replay. Looks like it never had the plate.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to get it to come back, just didn't come back enough. Throw a good strike here.
A bases loaded walk. Third walk of the inning. That'll chase home Jim Edmonds. The Brewers take a 3-2 lead, and that will end the night for Tim Hudson. He goes 6 2/3. But 3 walks in the 7th will end his night. Peter Moylan and Johnny Venters were loosening in the Braves bullpen. Corey Hart is the Brewers hitter. And Tim will get a nice ovation as he leaves, now trailing in this game 3-2. This game now, a bases loaded walk puts the Brewers in front, and at this point spoiling a terrific pitching performance from Braves righty Tim Hudson.
And he'll leave trailing at least 3-2, but here are his 4 losses this year. At home against the Phillies 2-0, at Minnesota 2-1 in a complete game loss, at the White Sox 4-2. He gave up a couple of homers to Carlos Quentin in that one. And against the Marlins 2-1. I think that was against Josh Johnson. So his losses all very tough losses, and he leaves trailing 3-2 tonight.
It turns the keys over to right-hander Peter Moylan. Bobby Cox makes the AT&T call to the bullpen. Moylan has been the Braves' ground ball specialist. Something you want to keep in mind with the Brewers' leading home run hitter in the batter's box. To third. That is a foul ball. Foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Security guards, go back to your post. The inning is not over. It's a foul ball. Good hustle, though. Just those 3 hits for Corey Hart against Peter Moylan, the most of anybody on their team against Peter.
Right center field and well hit. Infante can't get it. That's off the base of the wall. 2-run score. Weeks around third. Throw to the plate is off target. And it's a bases clearing double for Corey Hart. And all of these runs belong to Tim Hudson.
Corey Hart knows something about Peter Moylan the rest of his teammates don't. But that was, I think, supposed to be a sinker that just didn't do anything, didn't go anywhere, stayed right in the middle of the plate. Peter didn't even turn around, he just kept staring in for the longest time. And short hopped the wall at the 390 mark.
6 earned runs allowed by Hudson in this game. To put that in perspective, he'd given up 7 earned runs in his last 4 total starts. And the 6th, the most runs he's given up in any start in 2010. Brewers bat around in the 7th inning as Ryan Braun, a 1-1 count.
And all 3 walks in the inning scored.
It's a different looking Brewers ball club than the one we saw at Miller Park in May.
They've got all of their offensive weapons. They don't have all of their pitching weapons. They still have Giovanni Gallardo, their best pitcher, on the disabled list. But their bats have come around.
Little tapper. Moylan makes the play, and that will retire the side. But it's a big 7th for the Brewers. They get 3 walks, they get a homer, and they score 5 runs. 7th inning stretch in Atlanta. Braves now trailing 6-2. One lead. Prince Fielder's also homered in the game for the Brewers, and that's where we stand now, 6-2. As Atlanta now gets into Milwaukee's bullpen, and partner, this has been a big problem for the Brew Crew in 2010.
They've had to shuffle some guys, beginning with Trevor Hoffman at the end of their games, who was only 5 for 10 in saves. They moved John Axford into the closing role, moved Hoffman into a setup role. They've needed some other depth setting up. Coffey was on the disabled list for a time, and here he is in his 3rd straight game. had Mitch Stetter, real tough left-hander, but he ran on some hard times. He's back in AAA. So it's been a little bit of a revolving door, if not trying to shuffle for Ken Maka, shuffle guys into the right spot for their pen.
Well, the Braves, as you know, have been a very good run-scoring team from the 7th inning on. They are down 4 with 9 outs left. Let's see if they can come back tonight. They trailed in similar fashion here last night. Made things interesting in the 7th, but couldn't come up with a big bases-loaded hit. Let's see if they can start something with David Ross.
Crazy to think about. 4 walks tonight for Tim. 3 came in the 7th inning. For Hudson, he's walked 53 men on the year total. I'm sorry, he's walked 47 men total. And 10 have come against the Brewers.
Another strike. It's 0-2.
10 of his 47.
Pitcher spot due third in the 7th. Perhaps Chipper getting ready for a chance against big right-hander Todd Coffey. I guess that would make him a venti.
Gets runs off. That would be a lot of latte venti coffee.
One ball, 2 strikes.
I'll say this. Old Todd doesn't waste any time going from the bullpen to the mound. He's a hard charger coming out of there. It's like he had a real jolt of hot coffee right as he came out of that bullpen.
Some might call that the espresso route.
Yes.
From the pen. Enough already. Okay, we got you. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody on or out in the 7th. David swings and misses. First strikeout for Coffey. And one away in the home half of the 7th. Let's check out our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot. News and notes around the big leagues tonight.
How about Adam Wainwright? Get out of St. Simons. 10-0 at home. Shutting out the Dodgers. Uh-oh, another tantrum. A.J. Burnett. That cost him some DL time. And Matt Cain trying to shut out the Mets for the 3rd straight night today for the Giants.
Brooks Conrad jumps on the first pitch and just missed an extra base hit. Important homestand for the Braves. 4 with the Brewers, who have a losing record. Then you've got the first place Padres coming in. The Mets, the team directly behind Atlanta, are on a brutal road trip to start the second half of the year. 4 in San Francisco, 3 with the Diamondbacks, then 4 with the Dodgers. So a real chance if Atlanta can have a good homestand, perhaps pick up a little more ground before we go on the road to Florida, Washington, and Cincinnati. Tonight, at least, the Brewers aren't cooperating, are they?
No. Nor did they last night. Only had 9 runs on 16 hits. That Cincinnati club mighty good at home, too. They're 28-19 at Great American Ballpark.
And are they getting, was it Cueto back? Johnny Cueto, who's supposed to come back and pitch tonight for him?
Volquez.
Volquez.
Yeah.
So that pitching-rich club adds another big arm. And Brooks Conrad down on strikes. Speaking of big arms, Coffey is throwing pellets.
Good changeup.
And Eric Hinsky. Big pinch hit. Eric's done a good job in reserve for Bobby Cox. 7 for 25 with a homer. And Coffey, another power arm that we continue to see pouring out of Major League bullpens. Mentioned the mid-90s stuff from the left side, the Braves feature. This guy's mid-90s from the right side.
I was talking to my dad today back in Oklahoma. He doesn't get a chance to see a lot of games, but he always loves the All-Star game. And he said to me, he said, you know, I was watching the All-Star game. I don't remember ever seeing so many guys throwing 96 and 97 and 98 miles an hour. I said, yeah, get used to it. It's what we see virtually every night.
This keeps up. The hitters are going to suggest they lower the mound again.
You know, I like it. Especially since I don't have to try and hit it anymore, and it's fun to watch. I love seeing good pitching and how hitters adjust to it and what teams do to try to counter it. You know, whether it's playing for early runs or doing things to try to upset a pitcher's rhythm, whatever the case might be. But I just think it makes for better baseball that way instead of 12 to 10 games.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And nobody I know has the answer as to why we're seeing so much more power out of Major League pens, more power pitching. Chipper suggested last week before the All-Star break, baseball maybe has finally caught up from the expansion era.
I think that's fair.
Speaking of catching up, how about that? A 95-mile-an-hour fastball finds the seats. Oh, did he unload?
That pitcher's down and right in his wheelhouse. I don't care how hard you throw it. If you keep it down there around the knees for Eric Hinsky and give him a couple of looks at it, he's going to get you. 4th career pinch hit homer.
So the Braves now down 3. At the top of the order, in Martin Prado. Martin singled in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3. All of a sudden, Ken Maka, Rick Peterson have to pace and ponder the final 2 innings. And now, your guy, Rick Peterson, on his way to the mound.
And again, this is kind of like a trip he made last night where they had a big lead. And Cameron Lowe hit a guy, then fell behind the hitter, and he was out there just to remind him, hey, you know, we got the lead. Throw strikes. Forget it. The leadoff homer or the 2-out homer is one thing, but don't start putting guys on base.
Yeah, I'm guessing that Rick Peterson's not telling Coffey, hey, don't be a touch and feel guy. Go after these guys with that 90-plus stuff.
Power up.
Remember, the Braves have a star-studded bench available for Bobby tonight. We've already seen Eric Hinsky. You have Brian McCann. You have Jason Hayward available. You have Brandon Hicks, and you have Chipper Jones, we think, available to pinch hit if needed. It's Gregor Blanco, I beg your pardon, not Brandon Hicks. My mistake. It's Gregor Blanco who's available. And Prado serves a shot to right. Another multi-hit game. So he's 2 for 4.
That was a low fastball. Boy, just right on the low outside corner, too. And Martin did serve it to right. Good piece of hitting. Another multi-hit game for him, and he's back on track.
And look who's coming to the batter's box. You want power versus power? Here's your chance in the 7th to see it.
Last 2 games, the guy that's been brought out of the bullpen to pitch to Jason Hayward has been Zach Braddock, hard-throwing left-hander.
This will only be Jason's 3rd career pinch hit appearance. He's 1 for 2, and he has a couple of RBIs as a pinch hitter. If he unloads, this place will go crazy.
I never quite figured out why some right-handed pitchers. And that's going to do it. They were just having him throw over to give Cameron Lowe a chance to get loose. But why some right-handed pitchers look over the right shoulder when they're trying to hold a runner on first? Odd.
So after striking out Ross and Conrad with overpowering stuff, Coffey surrenders a pinch hit homer to Eric Hinsky. A single to right field by Martin Prado, and his night will come to a close, as we'll see if Ken Maka brings on a lefty to face Jason Hayward, who is in the ball game. Eric Hinsky, a solo shot, makes it a little closer. 6-3, Braves trailing with a chance. On and Jason Hayward set to come up. One more to follow in this Braves-Brewers matchup. Here's your Airways upcoming schedule.
Yet another left-handed starter in Manny Parra. And Derek Lowe will be going for his 10th win of the year.
Cameron Lowe, one of the Brewers relievers who's had an excellent run.
Worked an inning and a third last night, gave up a hit a batter, and a strikeout.
You see the thumb guard on the left hand of Jason Hayward. It was that injury that prevented him from playing in the All-Star game, but he did attend the festivities in Anaheim. Back up the middle, another pinch hit for Hayward. And now the potential tying run comes to the plate.
Fastball, stayed right on it, didn't try to do too much with it. Had a base hit last night, 1 for 4 with a walk. Pinch hit single tonight. He's on his way back. Now last night there were 2 outs and Lowe was facing Gonzalez. He had gotten the first 2 guys pretty easy, and then he really buzzed Alex Gonzalez up and in and actually hit him and put him on base. And you kind of wondered if there might have been something to it because Prince Fielder had been hit earlier in the game.
And don't forget Ryan Braun was hit up in Milwaukee.
So there might be a little payback here on the mind of Gonzalez.
No balls and a strike. Had him off stride. And now Alex really has to protect the plate. 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. And a 6-3 Milwaukee lead.
Kind of a slow lollipop curveball that really had him off stride. Nice just to pick up even 1 more run. It's the kind of hitter, though, that this is a type of situation, especially where Bobby Cox talked about Alex Gonzalez being a dangerous hitter. Good clutch hitter and a real value to any team. And nice to have him in a Braves uni.
Well, he looked that into the glove of LaCroix, didn't he?
Hard sinker. Lowe last year pitched in Japan. Nice stop by LaCroix. Slider in the dirt. Nice shift by the Brewers' young catcher. Kept it in front of him and prevented another runner from moving into scoring position. Nice play. So now what are they going to do? He didn't fish for the breaking ball that time. They know he's a good fastball hitter. Target inside.
And he struck him out. Braves get a Hinske pinch hit homer and pull to within 3. 6-3 as we go to the 8th.
stadium, and I imagine it was loud when they finally put an end to the streak. The interesting thing about that, though, is that he went on to hit in like 16 or 17 more games consecutively after he was stopped.
Venters over the head of Prince Fielder with ball one.
And a warning from Angel Hernandez to both benches.
Roger McDowell with a look of disbelief.
Well, that's because there's no reason for Johnny to have dusted him on purpose.
And this time he hits him, and now he's going to be thrown out of the ball game as Fielder's hit by a pitch. And now Ken Mako wants to come out for an explanation. One over the head and then one to the back. And Prince Fielder is on leading off the 8th inning.
Well, that requires Venters to be thrown out and Bobby Cox. The manager gets ejected too.
If you read the lips of Bobby Cox, he's saying it was a breaking ball that got away from Venters.
That was no breaking ball. That was right between the numbers.
So you're right, by rule, both Venters and Bobby Cox will be ejected from this game. And this is, I think, one of the most difficult things that umpires have to do, and that is read the minds of a major league pitcher or a major league manager. Why in the world would Johnny Venters be intentionally throwing at anybody with the Braves trailing by 3 runs in the final 2 innings of this game? Makes no sense.
I don't either, unless there was something else going on that we're not privy to. Here was the home run he hit earlier tonight. I mean, he took a big swing and nothing out of the ordinary there, and he did take off running. I didn't see anything unusual about that. Big swing. But he didn't stand and admire it. He took off.
And that was only his first home run hit against the Braves this year. How many times has Prince Fielder been hit this year?
Fourth hit batsman for Venters.
He's been hit 14 times. Now, was there any carryover from Fielder's double last night?
I don't know. You know, he got hit in the leg last night. And then he followed that up with a double. But again, they're big swings. He has big high follow-throughs. That's just his swing. And I didn't see anything demonstrative last night that would have indicated that it left some lasting image with the Braves. But that doesn't mean there isn't something else going on that we're not privy to. But for Johnny Venters to sail one over his head and then plant one between the numbers was very unusual. Chris Medlin will come on and be given whatever time he needs to loosen up.
So Fielder at first. And Medlin, whose spot in rotation will be skipped with an off day coming on Monday, gets a chance to work out of the bullpen again for the Braves. And you're right, he'll get as much time as he needs to get loose.
I'm going to say, too, that in defense of Johnny Venters, we have seen him come in and launch a pitch or two to the backstop in that general vicinity, usually to a right-handed hitter that sails to the backstop, and there's, nothing thought about it other than, well, that one got away from him. So it's quite possible and more than likely that those are just two pitches that he didn't control very well.
And on the other side of the issue, you think back to the days when Bob Gibson or Denny McLean were pitching in the late 60s. When a hitter would take a swing like the one fielder took and hit a home run, there was definitely going to be a message sent in his next at bat. Now, whether that's the case or not, as you said, we don't know.
But he swings like that all the time.
I agree. And since we don't know what Venters or anybody else was thinking, how do we know, or how can we expect the umpires to know? That's the inherent problem of issuing warnings in situations like we had in this 8th inning. I'm not blaming Angel Hernandez. That's the way that the umpires are asked to officiate the game. But if you let the players take care of it, wouldn't you agree that 90% of that stuff would be taken care of without all this stuff?
Yeah, but I'm not going to, as you said, I'm not going to be critical either of Angel, because the first one seemed, it just got away from him. The second one, 2 in a row.
After a warning, he had nothing to do but to eject him. So Chris Medlin versus Casey McGee. Milwaukee leads 6-3. And the Brewers' third baseman looks at ball one. McGee is 0-for-3 in the game. A chance for 2. And look at Fielder go out of his way to try to wipe out Alex Gonzalez. I mean, he took a big right turn at the bag, and with a swipe of the legs tried to deny a chance to turn 2. And he's getting a talking to by Rob Drake.
He had to pause to make sure he wasn't going to get tagged, and then threw his legs out at Gonzalez.
So Chris gets the double play ball. And now he'll face Jim Edmonds with the bases clear and 2 out. Braves led 2-1 after 6. Milwaukee erupted for 5 in the 7th. Braves answer with 1 themselves in the bottom half. And still have 6 outs available in this game. Edmonds, a soft fly ball into shallow left. And that retires the side. Interesting 8th inning. Venters and Cox retired. Medlin gets him out on 5 pitches, and the Braves bats go. 6-3 with the heart of the order coming up. And speaking of heart, I guess you'd have to say that Chris Narveson pitched with some heart tonight, Joe. He kept the Brewers in this ballgame.
Toyota Tundra, hardest working player. He gave up a 2-run homer to Matt Diaz, but made some real good pitches when he needed to tonight. Had a double play turn for him in the 5th inning, and he's the pitcher of record right now for Milwaukee.
But still 6 outs to play with for Troy Gloss. Cameron Lowe misses inside before this inning started. Angel Hernandez also went to the mound and let Lowe know that the warning is in place for him too if he thinks about hitting a Braves batter.
It's the Giants, I think, last year that took exception to some actions by Prince Fielder. He had a walk-off homer and had choreographed a celebration at home plate that made the Giants mad. When he stepped on home plate, all his teammates fell on the ground, and then in spring training, Barry Zito drilled him in spring training.
But he was a former player. You mentioned nothing wrong with Fielder's trot after the home run?
Well, no problem at all. I mean, he broke out of the box just fine. They may have taken exception to the big swing. I don't know. Maybe just the fact that he was just swinging from his heels.
Fly ball center field. Edmonds on the run will have room. And Troy is out number 1.
But the bottom line is the Braves got to get some guys on base. Down by 3, down to the last 5 outs.
They have left 6 on base to this point. And Matt Diaz, the batter, he hit a 2-run homer that gave the Braves a 4th inning lead. Line drive right center field. That might go for extra bases. It will go for extra bases. And Diaz 2 for 4.
The hitting fool is back. Breaking ball thrown right at him, and he didn't flinch a lick. Stayed right there, a little inside out swing on it, and split the outfielders.
Melky is 1 for 3 with a triple. Braves will take another one of those. Fly ball to left. And right at Ryan Braun. And Brian McCann will grab a bat and pinch hit for David Ross. Ryan's got his average up to 270. You talk about childhood dreams coming true to be the MVP of the All-Star game. That's incredible.
Hey, he's the pride of Atlanta. 5-time All-Star. And then being able to turn around a fastball from Matt Thornton from the White Sox. Pretty impressive in a high-profile situation. And that cleared the bases. Marlon Byrd scoring the last run. Think he wasn't pumped up?
And how great was it, Joe, to read the comments of the National League players about how important that game was for them? I mean, from stem to stern, this was not just an exhibition for the National League, who hadn't won since '96. They really wanted to snap the American League's dominance in that All-Star competition.
Last time they won was when another catcher was the MVP, and that was Mike Piazza.
So Brian McCann, a chance to pull the Braves to within a run as the Brewers go back into their bullpen. Who was announced as a pinch hitter for David Ross in this 8th inning. And now flame-throwing John Axford on to pitch. Craig Counsell in to play third base.
Axford's a great story. Drafted twice, didn't sign, then eventually signed as a non-drafted free agent by the Yankees. Pitched at 4 different levels in 2007 and then got released. And he throws so hard that the Brewers said, let's take a chance on this arm. And here he is as their closer. He started the year in AAA, but he's 10 for 10 in saves.
And ordinarily you'd be talking about Trevor Hoffman in saves, but John Axford really has been a great find for them. He's out of Canisius University. He's Canadian. He's a veteran of Tommy John surgery.
Back in 2008, after the Brewers signed him, he was in A-ball. In 95 innings, he walked 73 batters and struck out 89. They're trying to harness his good arm.
And at 6'5", 195 pounds. If you saw the movie Bull Durham, you think of Nuke LaLoosh. We know McCann can turn around mid-90s heat.
Yep.
But from 95 to 85, lets you know the kind of stuff Axford has.
That was a good call by LaCroix. Missed with the fastball. Figured he's going to come back with it again. So did Brian. And yet LaCroix called for the breaking ball, something off speed, and he threw it for a strike.
Backed it up with another beauty.
Of his 10 saves, 2 are saves of more than 1 inning, and that's what will be required here tonight if he stays in. Throw 3 in a row.
The answer is yes. And Axford comes in and retires Brian McCann on strikes to send this game to the 9th inning.
Corey Hart. A 3-run double that cleared the bases in the 7th inning and capped the scoring for a 5-run 7th. That helped the Brewers overcome a 2-1 Atlanta lead at the time. That was our Toyota Tacoma play of the game.
Ryan McCann will stay in behind the plate now. And Chris Medlin will go back to work with the lower third coming up for Milwaukee. LaCroix, Escobar, and Counsell are scheduled for Ken Maka. This young man's had a very impressive night. A couple of hits, a run scored. And he's called a real good game, it would appear, in Game 3 of the series.
You think with a name like LaCroix, he was very popular down at Lafayette, Louisiana?
Absolutely. How about that tricky hop?
Like you said, he never gets a bad hop, but that one was a bad one.
Alcides Escobar 1 for 3 as well tonight.
Chris Medlin came in a little rusty last night, worked an inning, gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run out. Only 1 earned run out of the 2 he allowed. But tonight, very sharp. 3 outs on 5 pitches after Venters was ejected.
Chris in line to start against the Marlins?
Yeah, that's what he told me. He gets bumped because of the day off on Monday.
To left. Matt Diaz with a good jump. Tale of this game so far is the top of the 7th inning. And Tim Hudson, protecting a 2-1 lead, gave up a homer to Fielder, then walked 3 men. 2 of those walks coming with 2 outs. He was relieved. Peter Moylan allowed the Corey Hart bases clearing double. And Milwaukee erased a 1-run deficit to lead 6-2.
Well, the key at bat was Weeks. He got ahead of him with the bases loaded. He got ahead of him 0-2 and then eventually walked him. And Weeks did a good job of fighting off some really tough pitches and earned the walk.
Greg Counsell, a looper that's caught behind second by Alex Gonzalez. And the Braves come up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Down 3 runs, 6-3 your score. We'll start it off. Then Chipper Jones. He's grabbed a bat. Then the top of the order. Braves have a ton of last at-bat wins. Can they come back from a 6-3 deficit here in the ninth?
Showed you that graphic at the beginning of the ballgame about the difference between this series and the one in Milwaukee when the Braves just clobbered the Brewers with their offense. And I mentioned that the difference really had been the Braves' inability to hit with runners in scoring position. They've had opportunities in this series and really hadn't capitalized that many times. And tonight again, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. So they're going to have to come up with another big ninth inning. 2 for 23 now in the series.
Brooks Conrad starts the ninth. He is 0 for 3. Braves with 16 final at-bat wins this year. That's more than any other club in Major League Baseball. The Reds, Rangers, and Rays right behind Atlanta in that stat. And not surprisingly, the Braves, Reds, Rangers, and Rays all at or near the top of their division.
This is truly a great find, John Axford, for the Brewers. And a guy who possessed a good arm, and the team was willing to take another chance on him after the Yankees let him go.
But this is the scouting report. Great stuff, but he can get a little wild.
Well, I've been told he threw hard. I didn't know he had such a good breaking ball. Boy, he threw 3 really good ones to Brian McCann back to back to back. Let's keep an eye on him there. After he got the sign for that curveball, it took him a second to load that up in his hand. You could see him kind of digging for that grip in the glove. Let's see if it happens again. Had his glove turned almost skyward, and that was a fastball. Now the pitch before on a curveball, the glove wasn't pointed that way.
Strike 3. One away in the ninth.
Here's our Fox tracks that looked outside. Maybe by just a seam. Maybe a seam caught the corner.
You know, Chipper likes fastballs early in the count. Let's see if he's hacking away on the first one. He was, but Braun tracks it down. And now the Braves down to their final out. It'll be Martin Prado.
I'm anxious for Axford to throw another curveball just to see how he holds his glove, to see if we saw something that Braves might be able to pick up on.
Another multi-hit game for Prado, his 41st of the season tonight.
Nothing but fastballs after that one curveball we talked about. And nothing below 96 miles an hour. There's a breaking ball, but not a very good one. Looked like the glove was the same there.
Why not throw another fastball? This guy's got a live arm. 3 balls and a strike. Jason Hayward would love a chance to swing the bat in the 9th. He waits next. A pinch hit single for him in the 7th. Line drive. Edmonds on the run is there, and that will end the ball game. John Axford with a very impressive inning and a 3rd save, and the Milwaukee Brewers win Game 3 of the series by a final score tonight, 6-3. In a game filled with all-stars, it was Corey Hart who provided the dagger, a bases-clearing double to give Milwaukee the lead.
Well, he's been hot. He stays hot. He's having a good series, and he came through with the biggest blow of the game tonight for the Brewers.
Braves will try for a series split tomorrow afternoon. Final score tonight, Milwaukee 6, Braves 3. Join us tomorrow for Sunday Braves. We'll wrap up the series with the Brewers. Our coverage begins with Braves Live at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. For Joe Simpson and the crew, Chip Carey, good night from Turner Field. We leave you with tonight's final take.